Hello everybody, it's me, Heather, and I'm here today with day number 3 of my extended first impression of the CoverGirl Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 foundation. Did I say it right? Outlast Stay Fabulous, yes. I think I finally figured out why all of the makeup names are so long today because, well, take a look at it. There's thousands upon millions of makeup out there, and they can't all just say foundation, right? If you go into a store and say, I want the CoverGirl foundation, well, there's a couple of different ones of those. I want that one foundation. So they all have to throw a bunch of names in there to make them, stand out, or just so they have a different name and they're not all called foundation, blush, lipstick, etc. Anyways, let me get on with this. So this is day number 3 of my extended first impression. If you're not familiar with my extended first impression, what I do is day 1, I apply the foundation using fingers. Day 2, I apply the foundation using a makeup brush. And day 3, I apply the foundation using a makeup sponge. So today I'm applying the makeup sponge with this type of, not quite Beauty Blender dupe. This is a drugstore sponge. So, you're going to buy this foundation at your local drugstore. Might as well use a drugstore type makeup sponge, right? Alright, I've already cleansed and moisturized my face. And let me twist this open. I'm going to go ahead and pump out a little bit. I've already dampened the sponge, and I'm just going to tap that right on there. And let's work this into my skin. The past 2 days I've been meaning to get my day started early so that I could actually wear this all day and see how it holds up throughout the day. So I actually did manage to do that yesterday, but then I just didn't get around to shooting, adding on to the video because I wanted to upload it right away. So today I got another late start on the day, and it's already day 3 of this extended first impression. So what I'll do is, I'm not going to wear this very long. I mean, actually I will, but I want to update this video and upload it today, more like tonight. So it's already 3 o'clock, almost, well actually, yeah, it's like 3:20 p.m. my time. So that actually applies really nicely with the sponge. What I'll do is I will leave this foundation on about 4 or 5 hours. So around 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock my time, I will come back with an update, and I'll finally give you my overall opinion on whether I like this foundation or not, the pros and cons, what my experience has been, and which application method I like the best. And then in turn, I hope you guys will also comment on this video and do video responses and such, and let me know what your experience with this foundation is. So, to be honest, so far I'm liking this application best using a makeup sponge. And I'm just going to shut up for a moment, and I'm going to do the other half of my face and fast forward. So here we go with foundation, without. Okay, so this is the sponge application. I'm really liking that. And I will come back later in this video, so about I keep saying 4. At least I want to leave this on at least 4 hours. So 4 or 5 hours later, I'll come back. And simply because I'm not going to wear it longer, because I do want to get this video out today. I have other videos that I want to do, and I kind of want to keep a little bit of a schedule with myself, but I'll be back later in this video and give you my final thoughts and do a quick review of what my experience has been using all the different application methods of this foundation. Alright, see you guys later in the video. Okay, so as promised, I'm back. It's been about 5 hours since I first shot the beginning of this video, and here's my final verdict on the CoverGirl Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 Foundation. So I like that this foundation photographs beautifully. It looks great in pictures. It looks good on video, obviously. It looks great. It makes my skin look quite flawless. The problem is the moment I step away from my lighting, my, camera lighting here, the moment I look into a mirror in normal daylight, I notice that my skin has an orange cast. So, and I think it's finally showing up better now. So this sets within a couple of minutes of application. So I do like that once you apply it, it does have a matte finish. I honestly prefer foundations right now that have a dewy finish to the skin. Not super duper glowy, but do have more of a dewy finish because that does tend to look more natural and makes the skin look more healthy. And overly matte foundations can leave your skin looking a bit flat. So as you can see, I decided not to wear any additional makeup today so that when I came back later in this video, we could focus solely on this foundation and the way it's worn. What I do like is well, I've only been wearing it for 5 hours, but I did wear it much longer yesterday. And it does hold up quite nicely, as you can see. I have not touched up. There's not a lot of oil shine. Like, this is just like natural looking reflection of the light. But if you see me in regular light, I don't look oily. And I also don't feel oily. So very little oil breakthrough. This does have a matte finish to it. I would not recommend using any kind of setting powder with this foundation because honestly, it's feeling really kind of tight around this area of my face. So that's obviously where I have natural oil coming out. And so this is a very matte foundation. But my overall consensus is I honestly do not like this foundation. Although it looks very pretty on film here, or on camera I should say, not actually using film, it's the digital age. So although it looks very nice on camera here, in normal daylight I look like I have orange skin. I don't like the way it makes me look. Another thing that I do not like about this particular foundation is that I do have enlarged pores in this area and I'm usually not concerned with them. This is not something I obsess over. I'm not concerned about the size of my pores and using a ton of pore minimizing products or anything like that. However, the 3 days that I've been testing out this foundation, I've noticed that my pores along my cheek area look more enlarged to me. So it makes them more pronounced and I don't like that. This foundation does not make me feel pretty. It doesn't make me feel like I have flawless skin. It makes me feel like I have orange skin with big pores. So, but just because this does not work for me does not mean it will not work for you. As I said, this does apply very beautifully. My problem is that once it oxidizes, and it does oxidize within like 2 minutes of application, the color does change to about half a shade darker. I feel it's about half a shade darker. It looks great on film and on camera, but in real life and natural daylight, you may not be as happy with the results. For the price, this is quite affordable. I've seen this for $9.99 and up at different drugstores. So for those of you that don't like to use a primer, a concealer, and a foundation, this does have nice coverage, but at the same time, once it sets, it becomes kind of, I almost want to say it kind of solidifies. For me, it feels kind of thick, and because it is a matte finish foundation once it sets, it makes my skin feel kind of dry. So I also did not like that this was not compatible with my daily moisturizer that contains a chemical blend of sun protection. Whenever I applied these together, it went on patchy. So let me talk about the different application methods really quick. So when I applied this using my fingers, and I always wash my hands, I always cleanse my face and moisturize before I apply any foundation with my fingers. When I applied this with my fingers, I found it difficult to build up coverage where I needed it. On that day, I needed it particularly on the edge of my nose because my nose was a bit red and I had a bit of a blemish coming through. And whenever I tried to tap it on, it just got splotchy. It wouldn't build. And then at the same time, if I took my fingers and I rubbed on more, it got splotchy. And then at the same time, once I used my fingers to apply it all over, I found that the foundation, once it set and oxidized, looked cakey. It looked heavy on my skin. Whereas the next day, when I applied the foundation using a foundation brush, I used a stippling brush. This was able to shear out the foundation a little bit more. And this did give it a nicer overall look. It did go on evenly. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't cakey. But again, I still found that I looked like I had orange skin as well as pronounced pores along my cheek area. And today I used a makeup sponge. I find using a moist makeup sponge, a wet makeup sponge, can be a beauty blender, can be just any one of those latex, non-latex foam sponges, just as long as it's a cosmetic sponge. Get it wet, turn on that sink, run the water, squeeze it underneath the sink, get that sponge wet, and then squeeze, 1 or 2 pumps of this on the back of your hand and apply it using your makeup sponge. I found that was the absolute best way to apply this foundation. It allowed it to go on evenly, much more lightweight. It did sheer it out more, because surprisingly this is a lightweight foundation, but I think because it does have a matte finish, once it oxidizes and once it sets, and by set I mean it turns into matte, a matte finish, I just find that it gets kind of, like I said, it does get kind of heavy just because of that whole mattifying. And using a sponge really sheared it out enough so that when it did finally set, it wasn't super duper heavy. However, as I said, and I can't say it enough, for me, it leaves me with an orange cast to my skin, as well as it doesn't make my skin look flawless. To me, it looks like my regular skin, but all one color, if that makes any sense. Whereas other foundations I find, even if they are lightweight foundations, whenever I put them on all over, they still give my skin a more smooth look. Whereas this one, I feel like you can still see a lot of the texture of my skin coming through. It doesn't look smooth. The pores are pronounced, and my skin looks orange. So all in all, I am thankful to BuzzAgent and CoverGirl for having this campaign so that I could try this out and give you guys an honest review. I'm sad to say I don't like it, but this would be a great foundation for people who have combination normal and oily skin. If you have dry skin, you'll probably want to stay away from this. When you use this foundation, do not set it with a powder, because you are going to feel so dry and tight, you're just going to hate it. So do not use a powder to set this foundation. And this one has a golden undertone. Perhaps if you try one with a pink undertone, if your skin has natural pink undertone, you'll have a more pleasant result than I did. But then again, just because this doesn't work on me doesn't mean it won't work on you. These are only my opinions. This was given to me for consideration by BuzzAgent and, supported by CoverGirl. And if you guys have questions, as always, feel free to leave comments below. Let me know what your experience was, because I know this is actually quite a popular foundation right now. A lot of people are having positive results with this foundation. I'm just the oddball out, I suppose. But go ahead, feel free to leave your video responses, leave comments and questions down below. I will get back to you. And feel free to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you guys for hanging in there for these 3 days of my extended first impression. And I will see you guys in the next video.